What's up, fellow polymaths? In this video of the Java Fundamentals tutorial, we'll be going into more detail about methods. Methods, sometimes also called functions, are a collection of statements that are ran when they are called. Methods allow you to pass parameters, which are variables and values inside the parentheses, which can create unique effects with that method. Methods can be reused many times depending on how it's implemented. To create a method, the method must be declared inside a class. Methods always include the parentheses at the end of the method name. You can utilize the many methods built into the Java JDK, as well as create your own methods, which you'll be doing a lot of if you want to become a better programmer. So here's the syntax with the methods. You're familiar with this since we've already created methods in some of our previous tutorials. So here we have two methods in our syntax, one that doesn't return a value and one that returns a value. So here we have a modifier type, which is like a public, private, protected, and so on. Here we have void, which represents that the method doesn't return a value, so it doesn't have the return statement. And here's the name of method, along with the parentheses. Inside the brackets, then the statements will go inside the method. And here we have a method that does return a value. So again, we have the modifier type, and then the return type, so like an integer, double, string, and so on, and then the name of the method. And then after you put your statements inside the method, you return whatever the return type is. So this return type has to match this return type. Of course, if it's void, then there's no return type that's required. So here's another syntax with the methods that do contain parameters. So as we've seen before, we have the modifier type, the return type, and then the name of the method. Inside the method parentheses is the parameters. So here, the parameters can contain the data type, and you can have as many parameters as possible, although you only want as many parameters to get the job done for the method. So as we mentioned before, the modifier type is whatever access that the method has. So it can be public, private, protected, or default. Void means that the method doesn't return any values. The return type represents the data type of the method, whether it's a primitive data type or a reference data type. There are also return types that contain arrays as well. So you can have a integer array return type as well as a string array and so on. The parameters are the variables in the parentheses of the method. You can have as many parameters in the method as you want, though the saying goes less is more. The name of the method as well as any potential parameters are called the method signature. The whole method, excluding the method body, is called the method header. The code within the curly braces is called the method body. Remember, when naming a method, the method should be a verb. So they're like actions and behaviors. So good method names, for example, are calculate payment, check records, use magic spell, dodge attack, and so on. And I'm sure you could think of plenty of other useful method names as well, depending on what you're trying to do with that specific method. Calling a method requires that either an object from the class of the method is created or is called by the way of a static class. The order of the parameters is important. For example, if you have a method with the order of parameters, such as method name, int x, and string y, then the method has to be called based on that order. And as we have an example right here, we have our method name, and then the int x comes first, so it's going to be an integer named 5, and then the string y, the string comes second as for the parameter, since in the method name, the int x is first and the string y is second. And here we have our syntax for when we need to call a method. So here we have a class name, and then the object name equals the new constructor. And then all you have to do to call a method is use the object name and then a dot separator and then the method name. And that's all you have to do to call a method from an object. To call a method that's static and outside the class that belongs to, then you just use the class name and then the dot separator and then the name of the method. Call a method that's static and inside the class that's being called from, all you just have to do is just call the method name. Let's go over these inside the code. So here we have our animal class, and here we're just going to create a few methods just to understand how methods can be created and called. All right, so here I created a few methods in the animal class. As you can see, there are different types of methods. A couple of them are void methods. We have one static method and one method that returns a string. So in the main class, we're going to be calling these methods and seeing how they work. So here I'm in the main class, and I'm going to be calling all those 4 methods. So first, I'm going to create an object from the animal class. name this animal object. And I'm going to call that first method. This one has empty parameters. Then the second method, which was a void. And this is the time that the animal wants to sleep. So we'll just say 8 p.m. So we'll just put an 8 there. And the third method was a return to string. So this is the age of the animal. So we can just say 10, and we'll just say the animal genus is a dog. And then the fourth method is a static. So instead of using the animal object, we're going to be using the actual animal class and then the dot separator with the get age of animal. So we'll just say that this animal is 10. All right, so let's run this code right now. All right, so here are results. First result, we see that the animal is walking from the walk method. The second line on line 9, the sleep method, and we see here the animal went to sleep at 8 p.m. So that was the sleep time parameter that we put in for that sleep method. Then on line 10, we have the print line statement where we have the message, in 5 years, the dog will be 15 years old. We're passing in number 10 and just adding 5 to that. And then we call the animal genus a dog. And then on line 11, we have another print line statement, which uses a static method, get age of animal. And then we put in 10 for that, and our output is 10. So that's pretty much a high level overview of methods. Try to make your own methods, test this out just to get more familiar with methods. All right, here's the assignment for this topic. Number 1, create a method from a class different than the main method that doesn't return a value with the print line output. Use an object to call this method. Number 2, similar to the above, but instead of using void and the print line statement in the method, return a string value. Number 3, create a method that takes in 2 integer parameters and returns the addition value of the parameters. As mentioned previously, make sure to name the method based on what it's trying to do. Number 4, do the same as number 3, except use 3 parameters and multiplication instead of addition. Number 5, create a method that doesn't return any value with an output that takes an integer parameter and a string parameter. You can make up whatever the output will be, such as a simple sentence. If this video was of any value to you, then please leave a like, comment, share, and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you later.